Look, I rise to speak to this motion, and what I'm asking for is a reference to the Legal and Constitutional Affairs Legislation Committee, and it is for the establishment of a sunset date in relation to submission of claims of native title, after which no further claims of native title can be made. And the date for that will be June 24. Now, B on the amended motion I've put up is the effectiveness of the operation of the native title system, options to improve economic development resulting from native title, and options to improve certainty over the claim process. Now, I already know what's going to happen here. I know my motion is going to go down. And it's because people in this chamber, whenever I put up any motions that I'm calling for accountability, like I want an investigation into NATSIC and ACS and, to do with Aboriginal accountability, I don't get the support. Yet the taxpayers are wanting accountability and they're not having it. And when I put up a private member's bill to the identification to Aboriginality, again voted down, no accountability. And the same thing I know now, this is going to go down. But I am a woman of principle, and I must speak on behalf of so many Australians who have had enough, who've had a gutful. And it's very important that we do have a look at this. I know Senator David Pocock is going to be voting against it. Now, just to actually give you an outline of this whole thing, Senator Pocock was actually from Zimbabwe, South Australia. Senator Pocock, he went through having to forced off his land because of the blacks. And him and his family were given 90 days to leave because taken over of the land. And he then actually was given the opportunity to come out here to Australia, to live in Australia. He's had a great life, been one of the Wallabies. He's now a member of this parliament and actually has a casting vote on just about all matters of importance on legislation in this parliament. But on every occasion when I put up a motion to call for accountability, Senator Pocock says no. And also with this motion, he won't be voting for it. So he's quite happy to see Australians constantly losing the land in this nation, with the same thing happen to him in South Africa, Zimbabwe, but he's allowing it to happen here with no accountability. So it's just quite amazing that someone who's had it happen to him and his family is quite prepared to see it happen here in Australia without questioning or accountability, nothing. It's like, no, door shut, not interested. And I want to speak on behalf of many Australians who feel the same way as I do. Common sense approach to it, that we just want answers, we want accountability. Because native title has been a major issue impacting all Australians' land rights for more than 30 years since the Mabo and Wick decisions. It's time to put an end to it and introduce equal rights for all with respect to Australian land. Today, more than half of Australia is now under native title, and if all pending claims are factored in, up to 62% of our country will be under it. That's almost two-thirds of this continent, claimed by less than 2% of the national population. I say less than 2% because native title claimants must meet a higher eligibility threshold than just anyone who ticks a box to claim they're Indigenous. Only about 430,000 Australians meet this definition, as opposed to the 812,000 people who claimed Indigenous heritage at the 2021 census. This was, I remind senators, a 25.2% increase on the 2016 figure compared to an 8% rise in the overall national population. I am moving this motion on behalf of millions of Australians who've had a gutful of native title. They're sick and tired of the explicit racial double standards underpinning native title. Non-Indigenous Australians must work, save and borrow in order to get title to land. They have to buy it, or at least inherit it from a family who has bought it. Native title claimants don't need to do anything like that. They need only claim a form of historic, spiritual or cultural connection which, at best, had some validity generations ago but has been effectively rendered meaningless since. Why should a mythical belief in the spirit of a serpent inhabiting a nameless creek prevent a farmer from building a crossing over it, as happened in Western Australia earlier this year? I can't make spiritual connections, claims like that. My great-grandparents worked land in the Lockyer Valley many years ago with their own hands. Their connection was more than spiritual or cultural. They poured their blood, sweat and tears into the land, raising their children on it. But my claim of over-connection to that land would never be recognised by granting me title. I'm Indigenous to Australia, like anyone else born here. But because I'm not Aboriginal, that sort of claim for land rights is denied to me. I do not only refer to native title claims. Aboriginal Australians can make claims on any Crown land that's considered unused, and their legal costs will be fully funded by the Australian government. Respondents to these claims, such as local government, are not afforded the same support despite the costs running into millions of dollars. Even successful native title claimants, depending on who they are not able to take advantage of the economic opportunities. I'm going to take that interjection from the senator and the Green senator saying, of course they are funded. No, they're not. And that was my question last week on the floor. Whereas the Queensland South Native Title Service in their budget has $71 million given to them to actually make claims in Queensland. Whereas the budget was stripped of any money given to the respondents for this. No money in the budget. They stripped it. And what was in it? $7.1 million. So, you see, you're ill-advised, or you don't listen to what's going on in the chamber to understand it, to make these allegations. Again, you make allegations, you don't even know what you're talking about. So that's why this has to be brought to the attention, that you're making allegations there. It's not true. So the respondents are not given—
Take your seat, please, Senator Hanson. We have a point of order. Senator Shoebridge.
Senator is repeatedly failing to address her remarks through the chair, and I'd ask you to bring her to attention.
Thank you. I'm sure Senator Hanson heard that, and that you will accordingly direct your remarks through me rather than across the chamber. Please continue, Senator Hanson.
Love to refer my remarks to you, but I will respond to senators if they want to make any interjections here. And if I know that's not telling the truth, then I will actually do that, Chair. So through you, Chair.
Senator Shoebridge, I presume, is standing on the same point of order, and Senator Hanson, you did indeed reflect your remarks, not through me.
I did so. Excuse me. I said to the chair, and I said, although if I respond to an interjection for someone who's making a remark, I can't let it go unanswered and lies told.
Senator Shoebridge, do you wish to make a point of order?
Simply that the senator immediately flouted your ruling as soon as you made it. It was a polite, well-considered response from the chair, and literally within seconds of it, this senator flouted your direction.
Thank you, Senator Shoebridge. The interjections are also disorderly, so if you expect Senator Hanson to speak through the chair, you should wait to speak in this debate. Please continue, Senator Hanson.
Thank you very much. As I was saying, respondents to these claims, such as local government, are not afforded the same support despite the cost running into millions of dollars. And my research shows that there is an enormous amount of claims that are put out through Queensland, but not only that, about 40,000 claims are put in New South Wales alone. So this is what the Australian people are facing. So this has got nothing to do with native title. This is on top of native title. Also, the fact is, just after the Howard government was in, he actually did move a sunset clause, and that was actually thrown out. So I am aware that a fund was put up of about $1 billion, and of that also, that money was in perpetuity then to buy land. So about $40 million was used also to buy land. So apart from native title and these claims on Crown land, plus also the funds that were set up, this has just got to the point where Australians have had enough. They are effectively held hostage by the Aboriginal land councils who refuse to give up control of the land and the money generated from it. What I talk about here is the successful native title claimants, depending on who they are not able to take advantage of the economic opportunities. And a lot of this land is handed over to land councils. And I've got to congratulate Senator Jacinta Price on the fact that she wanted an inquiry into the land councils because of their corruption, and that money is not going to the people. They rake in the billions from the royalties, they rake in the monies from the leases, from the landowners, but guess what? It doesn't go back to the Aboriginal people. And this is where the Aboriginal people have themselves come to me and said, we want our own land. We want to be able to build our own house. We want to get a loan. We want to build our business. But you know what? We're controlled by the land councils. This is what you've allowed to go on and on and on with. That's why these people are in communities that are actually so downtrodden, so downbeaten by nepotism, by people in their positions who are looking after their own jobs, and that's exactly where the Voice will take us as well. And that's another point. So here we go, is that there is another form of corruption here, and I talk about the land councils, control of the people that they are supposed to be looking after, but they don't. They rake in the billions of dollars, all these charities that they name, all the billions of dollars that goes out the door of taxpayers' dollars, and where's the accountability? Nothing. So what I ask for today is a native title to be extinguished after the June 25. Put in your claims, then there's a period of time after that, they'll all have to be sorted through, but the fact is we have to call an end to it. At the end of the day, it is another form of corruption that prevents billions of taxpayer dollars for Indigenous disadvantage from getting to the people who need it. It was John Howard who proposed a sunset clause in native title claims, and this might have been implemented if not for the independent senator for Tasmania, Brian Harradine. A sunset clause is what I propose be examined in this inquiry, along with the operation of the native title system, options to improve certainty over the claim process, and options to improve economic development opportunities. And as I said, I believe mid-June 2025 would be plenty of time to allow any remaining claims of native title to be lodged. After that, it's time for equality. After that, all Australians, regardless of race, will have to do the same thing: work, save and borrow to purchase land. Special connections will be simply that, held in spirit only. And if we intend to actually make a difference in this country, that we are equal and we're all Australians together, we need to actually think about this. I know you're not going to vote for it. You're not interested in accountability. You're not interested in pulling Australians together. It's all about division in this place all the time. And that's a shame, because many Australians really want that. They are screaming out for equality. And if we were to get rid of the race of a person being of this race or that race or another race, where all Australians are born together in this country, you might have a chance of actually pulling it together, and you might have a chance of actually looking after the maligned. Because regardless of whether you're Aboriginal or not, or Torres Strait Islander, we have many Australians in this country who are disadvantaged, who are living in poverty. You see at the Smith family advertising, there's about 2 million children in this country who are living in poverty. What are you doing about that? What are you doing about that? Absolutely nothing. The cost of living that's destroying people. They are losing their homes. They don't have roofs over their heads, nothing. But all you're worried about now is your voice to Parliament. Your voice that you don't need because you have a voice. You know exactly what the problems are. But this is all about setting up a sovereignty, another nation within a nation. And that's what this is all about. And that's why you need this native title, to keep going on and on and on. Like I said, when you have only 2% of the population that owns more than 60%, will be more than 60% of the landmass of Australia, we have big problems. And like I said, I, like many of Australians, I worked with my blood, sweat and tears, with long hours, to make the money to buy my land. And that's the way it should be. Forget about what happened 250 years ago. I'm not interested in that. We're all Australians are born here today. Instead of making your claims all the time, let everyone get their land the same way. Work for it. As Australians, regardless of your background, regardless of your race or who you are, we're all Australians and should be treated equally. And I'll keep saying that time and time again. Yeah.